Hi everyone and welcome back to the Hot Wheels Academy. We are now in Expert rank, which means S1 class is open. There's more challenges than before in this class and they become quite a bit harder than in Rookie and Pro ranks. If you missed anything from the first two progressions, 100% guides for them will be in the description. We will begin our journey through Expert rank with races. There's 5 of them to be won this time, and as before they need to be done in highly skilled difficulty or higher. 2 of the races are hazard tracks, snowfield circuit and lava loop sprint, and 3 are speed, canyon loop speed sprint, dragon falls speed circuit and nexus speed sprint. Speed tracks are exactly that, super high speed races that do test your driving skill, and hazard races we've seen before already. The 2 we get to do in S1 class are ice track and a rumble track. Interestingly enough, I found that Chopin that we get coming into Expert rank is not very competitive on Hot Wheels tracks, even against AI. Maybe I'm just driving it wrong, but I had to really battle in it, as it pits you against other retro supercars with AI, like Lotus GT1 or Ford GT40, and everything gets really hard really quickly. If you really want to stick to retro supercars, I'd recommend jumping into Jaguar Sports XJR 15. It's an absolute monster of the car that casually exceeds 400 km per hour in S1 class. Word of a caution though, it's a real power build and it's seriously hard to drive. You may really want to have traction control enabled for it unless you are very comfortable with super fast rear wheel drive cars. If Jag is too handful for you, here are some other cars I used in races in Expert rank. Each of them felt good and allowed to win over AI reasonably easy. It's 2015 Corvette with a tune by Only Naps, 2019 Aston Martin Vantage with a tune by K1Z Bard, 2017 Nissan GTR tuned by Nalak 28, and 2018 Porsche 911 GT2 RS with another of the Bard's tunes. These 4 are much easier to drive than the Jag, but are still very fast and within own category give good advantage over AI to make races much easier than they could be. As always, remember that rewind is available in the races and that the clean racing is faster than smashing everywhere. It's even more important in S1 and above than in lower classes, as hitting the walls here or rearranging a drive avatar costs you a lot of speed and time. Once we're done with the races, it's time to do all PR stunts, and we begin it with the Frozen Rush speed zone. Remember, we need to 3-star all of them for 100% completion. To do it, I'm using the Chopin that we got just recently, as even though it's not very competitive in the racing, it's more than capable of 3-starring all the PR stunts that we need. The speed zone itself is pretty straightforward. We take a little bit of a run up, starting just behind the race, and off we go. The icy surface within the speed zone means we need to be a little bit careful in corners, lifting off maybe just a tiny bit more than we usually would, but otherwise easy 3 stars as you can see. Next up is another speed zone, Supersonic Spiral. We will use the same principle and the same car for this. The run up for me begins from here, the T section immediately to the west from the speed zone. I believe this direction is a little bit easier than the other one. As you approach the speed zone, you will face a pretty hard left turn immediately, so make sure to use your brakes. The whole speed zone is basically a combination of 3 corners where you need to slow down a bit to avoid smashing onto the walls, and that's pretty much the key to 3-starring it. As long as you stay away from the walls and accelerate out of the corners, you should easily attain 3 stars requirement in pretty much any S1 car. The next challenge is Canyon Jump Danger Sign, and when you do it, if it looks a bit familiar, don't get surprised. It's the same jump that we just did in the iconic orange track chapter of Hot Wheels story. The run up to it is pretty easy, there's no real tricks to it, just floor it as you go and don't miss that little corner, and the jump should be easily executable in any S1 car. As you can see, 3 stars are achieved without any problems. For the Forest Edge Speed Trap, I'm actually swapping the cars and jumping into the almighty Jaguar XJR 15. That is because the speed requirement for this trap is 386 km per hour, which is a little bit more than our Chopin can do. What I forgot, however, is that there are fan boosters just before the speed trap, so maybe Chopin would do, but well, what's done is done, and the faster the better, so Jaguar it is. Now we are approaching Water's Edge drift zone, and drift zones in S1 class are perfect for Formula Drift cars. So I'm driving this Formula Drift Nissan 370Z in stock configuration. You don't really need to download any additional tunes for it, they are already pre-tuned for drifting. As usual with the drift zones and drifting in general, your settings matter here. So you need to make sure your traction control is off, your stability control is off, and it is better if your shifting is set to manual. For this car, set the car into third gear from get-go and you don't need to switch it anymore. As you start driving, accelerate softly about halfway to 3/4, and immediately as you turn the wheel, the car will start drifting and you should easily beat the required score. Absolutely same applies to Horizon Nexus drift zone. Same settings, same car, same principle. The only specific thing about it is I recommend starting from the Nexus hub, because this way you're going downwards and it's a little bit easier to maintain higher speed and gain higher score. However, if you are having difficulty controlling your speed and end up spinning out, maybe it would be better for you to climb up instead of going down. That way the car automatically slows down if you lift off and gives you a chance to regain control of it. Apart from that, again, easy 3 stars. The next challenge we do is Double Dragons, where we need to drive from the Hammer Mountain to the dragon at the foot of the volcano. Luckily, both dragons are conveniently marked for us with these little green icons, so it's not very hard to see where to start from and where to go. Now set the destination to your target and off you go. The path the game suggests is actually quite alright and allows you to reach the destination within the required 4 minutes quite easily without any problem. You have to drive S1 vehicle, and as long as you do, you should be fine. Remember, using rewind in these challenges doesn't roll back the timer, so it's usually much faster to just recover from any mistake rather than rewind. Apart from that, just go. When you reach your destination, if the challenge doesn't mark as complete right away, just roll a little bit further the same way you go and it will complete. There is something wrong with the target zone where it marks complete, but it's just literally a couple of meters that it is off by. If you already completed 2 last chapters of the Hot Wheels story that are required within our rank, this is the last challenge you need before the qualifier for S2 class opens. But of course, qualifier is not enough for us, we have to do everything on 3 stars. Our next task is Green Thrill Zone, where we need to drive from Horizon Nexus Hub to Treetop Speed Zone and complete it all within 90 seconds. This may sound a bit intimidating, but remember, complete means earn at least 1 star, so you don't need to 3-star the speed zone to finish the challenge. All you need to do is keep the speed of 160 kilometers or 100 miles per hour through it for it to count. So the easiest way is to drive straight from the Nexus Hub in a direct line into the Forest Falls until you reach the entry to the speed zone, like so. And as you turn into the speed zone, your average speed will be really low, but don't worry, the speed zone is pretty long, so there's more than enough time to reach the required amount in any S1 car. This Chopin does quite well with it, but really any car would do. As you go through the speed zone, you can see the speed keeps going up even when I smash into the walls, and 1 minute 30 seconds is more than enough for the challenge to be done easily. The last of these kind of challenges is Outside Inside, where we need to complete the Forest Edge speed trap and then Nexus speed trap within 90 seconds. As evident on the screen, you only need 1 star on each to complete the challenge. and the timer only starts once you get 1 star on either of the speed traps. That's right, the order in this case is not important. You can do them in any order. You can do Nexus first and then Forest, or Forest first and Nexus afterwards. I prefer to begin with the Forest Edge speed trap just because the Nexus speed trap is super hard to fail and it's really difficult to make any mistake there. So it saves you some time in case something goes wrong. Once you hit 1 star on the Forest Edge speed trap, just set your destination to Nexus speed trap and off you go. There is sufficient time to reach the destination on time on any S1 car, so you shouldn't have any difficulty, and once you reached this point it's literally just a straight line all the way to the Nexus speed trap. Also, don't worry too much about your speed, because as you approach the speed trap there's a bunch of these fan boosters which accelerate you even further, so 1 star is usually not a problem and you might as well score some more. Now it's time to complete the last 2 chapters of the Hot Wheels story if you didn't do that before. I created full guides for all chapters and I will put links in the description, but here is a quick recap. In the 4th chapter, the second part is what matters for your stars rating, and you need to smash 25 or more treasure chests within 2 minutes 30 seconds. Start with clearing chests on the ice lake in front of you from left to right, and then proceed to the path around the ice rock to collect remaining chests. Don't go too fast collecting the chests. If there is any debris in front of your car when you smash the chest, the smashing won't register, and this can be very irritating. If you follow this, you should have no problem scoring 3 stars on the chapter 4. The final chapter is split into 3 parts, and only the last one matters for your 3 stars rating. You get to drive monster truck Bone Shaker, believe it or not, to reach the destination within the time limit, and that time limit is much stricter than in any other chapters of the story. So make sure to brake before the corners and avoid drifting in the corners, because this way this monster truck is very slow. Also, stay away from the walls. Again, those slow down this truck way more than any other car. Use and abuse your wind function if you make any mistakes. This way, you'll achieve the time required without significant problems and get the 3 stars on the final chapter. Now we move on to Pop Till They Drop challenge to smash 5 additional tank balloons for a total of 10. All balloons are clearly marked on the map and are reasonably easy to reach. For most of them, simply setting your waypoint on them will create a correct path which you can follow. You may want to jump into an off-road vehicle, as some of them require driving through the snow, but that's not absolutely necessary. I ended up using regular racing cars and had no issues reaching any of the balloons, so that's purely a personal preference. Following the suggested path versus finding your own way is also beneficial, as some of the balloons have ramps leading up to them and the waypoint shows where it is located. For balloons that are placed next to the regular roads, there will always be the opening that makes them accessible, either a danger sign jump that allows to smash the target or part of the orange track that doesn't have walls on one of the sides. This danger sign one felt a bit weird, as I was sure I missed it while doing the jump. But it did count towards the challenge, so clearly the hitbox for these balloons is quite a bit bigger than it looks like. For the balloon located next to the oval loop track, just fast travel there and you'll see that the roads have no walls there. Drive up the road and simply fall off onto the balloon. The only confusing one we leave for the very end. And the confusing part is that the game sets a route that's impossible to follow, at least in the normal circumstances. So instead of going where the game wants us, we'll leave the orange road in this location that I show on the map. From here, you want to start driving towards the tank balloon target and then take a huge dive into the ravine. And our main challenge here is to land on our wheels. If you land upside down, the game will reset your position back on some road that you don't need. Once in the ravine, everything becomes easy. Follow the path the game suggests between the waterfall and eventually you'll see a ramp in front of you, which leads directly to the tank balloon. Take a jump and smash it. Don't hurry to leave the area though. Our last challenge is 5 more XP bonus boards, and one of them for 5k XP is hiding in the same location, behind one of the waterfalls. Turn around from where you smashed the balloon and it will be on your right side, ready to be picked up. The next 2 XP boards are also not far. First travel to the road nearby and drive off towards the map marker. One board will be waiting once you cross the water. Another is nearby but will require us to take another huge leap down. It's located at the bottom of the huge waterfall we are currently on. Again, you may need a few attempts if you are unlucky to land on your roof. The game resets you to the nearest road, and that's the opposite of what we need here. Once you manage to land on your wheels, grab the board for another 5k XP. The remaining 2 XP boards require us to drive around a bit. One is hiding in the forest at the southern part of the forest falls. There's a dash road located conveniently nearby, so that's where we'll fast travel. Then it's as simple as going off the road and moving south towards the board marker. Once you see a large rock, drive up the hill to the right of it and you'll see the bonus board there. The last board is on the western edge of Forest Falls, just over the tile-shaped hole in the ground. It may look a little bit tricky as it's located directly under the road, so it may be confusing as to how to get to it. But right under the big hole you can see a dashed road again, and that's an ideal place to fast travel to. From here, just leave the road and drive towards the bonus board marker. It's not a very long drive and you'll find the board between the trees over a small hill. And this is it. We have completed every expert challenge and are ready to take on the elite qualifier. The qualifier puts us directly into action. It's not split into multiple parts like some others. Here we are driving back to the blade to the destination, and to achieve 3 stars we need to make it in under 1 minute and 40 seconds. The race is truly high speed one. The first and the only hard braking point comes almost a minute into the race, and you are flat out pretty much the whole duration of the challenge. At one point, about a kilometer away from the destination, the narrator says brake multiple times. Do not. You don't need to brake there. The corner is banked sufficiently to be passable at full throttle. At most you may need to lift off a bit in the corner after it, but that's it. As long as you are not afraid to floor it and don't smash into the walls as you go, you should have no problem hitting the time target. And once you do, the elite rank is open and S2 cars are unlocked. You also get to keep the bed to the blade you are driving, and it's well worth it. It might be the best handling S2 car in the whole game. Quite a few world records and rivals have already fallen to it. So that's it. This guide is finished and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Now I checked with Haley and she's pretty sure the G-force can't hurt you. Okay, now brake, 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 brake! Nearly there now! Keep going! Yes! You're through! I'm telling the whole of Horizon Mexico about that run. You can keep the blade, only... mind if I borrow it sometime? Maybe for the weekend?